Hey guys, welcome to the Cultivate Her podcast. This is a podcast where you can tap into your purpose and make sure that you challenge yourself in walking in your destiny. I am your host, Christina Nelson, founder of Women of Empowerment Inc. And I'm here with my co-host, my friend, my homie Patromi, the girl that always keeps it real with me, Jenny Boo. How you doing, girl?
Hey girl, you know me. I'm ready to just jump right in.
Yeah, so we're talking about identity crisis and we're talking about letting go and manifesting in your identity. Okay. So I just wanted to share with you real quick, Jen, some things that I've been going through. And the first thing is that I've been in this place of self-discovery. I've been trying to rediscover myself, trying to understand the things that triggers me and the things that have I would say like my experiences and stuff like that that have made me the person I am today, if that makes any sense. Because obviously, like when we go through things, those things create who we are and how we engage with people, right?
Yeah, indeed.
So,
Yes, it does.
right. So those things have been like a thing that I've been realizing and now at my age that I realize have defined who I am and how I interact with people, how I respond to things, how my personality might be, like all those different things. It just pretty much adjusts my every aura, right? So I'm in this place and I'm trying to figure out why I'm so emotional, why I'm so antsy, why I'm not welcoming of certain type of friends, and who am I and why am I this way? So I really wanted to go into this podcast because I was like, man, identity crisis got to be a real thing. I'm constantly trying to find myself, constantly trying to figure out who I am. Why do I always need to find myself to be in this place of self-discovery? Have you ever been in a situation like that, Jen, where you're in self-discovery? Oh, and by the way, before you answer that question, I am sipping on a drink. Jen, are you sipping on something? What is
Yes, I am, girl. You know, I got my pink Moscato in my mason jar. This is my go-to every time, girl.
So she has her pink Moscato, which is her go-to. And this is not my go-to, but we're gonna work on it because this is what I got. So I have me a margarita right now with some tequila and margarita mix, and it's awesome. So yes, girl, going back to the self-identity and well, I would say self-discovery and realizing what your identity is.
I think, just like you said, the things that we go through really do shape and mold who we become. Ultimately, we're supposed to go through different relationships and different situations to teach us. You know, we're supposed to really be able to learn from the different experiences that we go through so that way we know who we are and what we're really capable of doing. You know, there's some people that get caught in a cycle where they're not really, understanding of that. They're not learning any lessons from different situations. That's why they find themselves in like an ongoing, repeated, cycle. But ultimately, all these things that we go through in life is really supposed to just teach us and really just show us who we are deep down inside. So it's important for us to really take that and have an understanding of that so that way we can really see, you know, who we are, what our expectations are, what our capabilities are, and find out from there what we're looking for, what we're, expecting from others, what we're capable of bringing to others. So I think that's all in growth and development. So it's really important for a person to go through that self discovery to really discover who they are.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm trying to see from your standpoint is like, is there something or in experiences in your life that you realize have changed or mold who you are, the person that you are, this identity? When you look at yourself in the mirror, right? And you see
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and you realize the person that you are there experiences in your life, or maybe words that you've heard from other people that have shaped who you are?
Every day. I mean, I see the way I look at life is a journey for me. So I take any little experience that I go through, I take a lesson out of it. For example, I remember before I upgraded my vehicle, I was driving a 2009 Nissan Sentra. And this car, it was a really nice car. I'm very grateful for it. But for my commute back and forth to New Jersey, it was a struggle. So getting on the highways and going up through tunnels and on bridges, I was honestly scared because I couldn't go over 20 miles an hour, and looking in my rear view and I see all these cars like flying around me, so just being like giving me like extreme anxiety because I had no control over the situation. All I could do, I had no control over no cars around me. All I could do was really just focus on myself in that moment and get into my destination. And while I have all these cars flying around me and, honking at me because I'm not going fast enough, I'll never forget this one man. And this is probably like the first time and the only time anybody has ever done this, but this one man, he drove past me and he, pulled up right to the side of me. And I thought he was going to be like everybody else and like, um, yell at me or, tell me to go to the side or what have you. But he asked me, I'll never forget, he asked me if I needed any help. And me knowing that he couldn't do anything in that moment because, we're on the middle of the highway and there's no way to pull over. So I just told him, I'm okay. Thank you. My car just struggles going up the hill or whatever. So with him just taking that moment to show some kind of compassion, it really just showed me that, despite all of the negative things that are around me, all of the distractions that are around me, that there's still things to be grateful for. So the mere fact that he was able, or he even cared enough to pull beside me and just to see a woman struggling, you know what I mean? And just to ask me if I was okay, that touched me in a way that really molded me to let me know that there's still hope out there, there's still good people out there. It just you need to just be who you are and just go through life as you feel you're supposed to go through life. And that there's people out there that really show compassion and care. And for you to add to that, it's important for us to really be able to be that light that we need sometimes because you just never know, who needs some kind words for that day. So I think everything that I go through, no matter how big, no matter how small, I try to take some kind of lesson out of it and allow that to shape and mold me to who I am because life is a journey and we can't take anything for granted these days. Life is too short.
Yeah, I agree. Life is super short. We definitely can't take things for granted. Like,
Yeah,
by a blink of an eye, you could be here. Tomorrow's just not promised, right? You can be here today and be gone
exactly.
tomorrow. So I completely understand. I definitely wanted to talk about the fact that in this process of self-discovery, because it's just crazy that I'm going through this, now. But to me as like, why am I going through this now? I thought maybe that I would go through the process of self-discovery maybe at 40 or, because I mean, we're in our 20s and 30s and, you know, that's the process where you're kind of like, I'm learning that this is something I like this. Okay, I like this about me, and this is about me, and this is how I am, like picking and choosing yourself and understanding things about yourself, if that makes any sense. And I've been in this place where there are things about me that I'm like, who is this person? I don't get who this person is. I don't get why I'm like this, like, okay, I'm gonna just be frank with you guys. One thing that I found very hard was to be very emotional with people. It was so hard for me to just express myself and say, hey, I miss you, or I love you, or I'm thinking about you, like mushy gushy. I'm like, I don't really like that. And I started to realize that that part of me was not there because of the fact that I wasn't raised like that, like
Mhm.
my family wasn't like that. My mom wasn't like that. My dad wasn't like that. We don't embrace each other and hug each other. Jen, you and I go back. Your family's all
Mhm.
kissing on the cheek and hugging and loving. And even that was a culture shock for me when I was around your family. I was like, whoa, this is a lot. But I had to get used to it. So I started to realize that this is something about me like, whoa, like it's crazy. You need to let down these walls. Like you can't let. I realized that I couldn't let my past stuff, become who I am. The past things I experienced cannot define who I am. Who are you, Christina? Who are you? This
Mhm.
identity, this identity crisis that you're going through of things that you experience that has shaped who you are, it is your choice to choose who you are. And that was a struggle for me. like just trying to let down my guard because I love people, right? I love people and I love to be around people, but I can't embrace them and show love, It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
You're absolutely right. You can't show something or teach something or do something that you weren't taught. Like, how would you know how to embrace or really, know what love is if you're not really shown the expression of it? But, one thing that I feel people lack or one thing that what I feel people do is we take things that we're raised with, like old baggage or, traditions or however, oh, my mom used to do this, and we bring that into our future selves in our families and our relationships, realizing, not realizing that, just because that's how you were raised doesn't mean that that's how it has to be. You have the power to mold your own life. You could create your own boundaries, your own expectations. You just have to know that you're strong enough to do it, trust in yourself enough to know that you're, guiding yourself down the right path. So I think it's important for you to just be able to realize, you know, realize it all in all. Some
Right.
people don't even realize, that they're taking old things and bringing it into their new, life. But it's important
Girl,
for you to just
say
know
that
that you're
again. Some
molded
people don't realize what?
they don't realize that they're taking old things and bringing it into their new lives. We do it every day. It's just self sabotage, but that's because that's how we're used to behaving or reacting or moving. We just got to find a new normal, find a, as an adult, what our boundaries are, not just for ourselves, with other people, with relationships, whether it be romantic or platonic, just figure out, you know, what your limitations are, period. Like, that's important.
Girl, I can't imagine like the amount of time that I've taken, and I think a lot of us in general don't realize that a lot of times it's something from our past that is burdening us. It's sitting on our shoulders and it's
Hmm.
preventing us from moving forward. I mean, like, I think that a lot of us are affected when it comes to even when it comes to building healthy relationships.
Yep.
Um, is that past emotional aspect, and it's funny because that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about emotional identity, and
Hmm.
it falls right into that range of past things affecting our our present and our future, right? And I realized that a lot of those past things affect me and created this person that I am, right? I always say this person because I think identity is a constant thing that you're always searching for. We always in a place of searching for
Because you're
identity.
always growing. You're always growing, so you're
Yeah,
always
right,
developing yourself.
right. But is growth, what's crazy now that you said growth, you talk about we're always growing. I'm wondering if growing and searching for your identity are two different things or are they the same? What
I
do you
think
think?
they're one and the same. Um, because you have to grow to be able to accept the identity. You're not going to be the same person that you were when you were 16. Everybody
Yeah.
has to grow and develop at some point.
Very true. Very true.
And
Very
some
true.
people aren't ready to do either, grow or find their identity. So they're just stuck.
Jen out here throwing shade, y'all. Spill some out. She coming quick on the shade, man, on the cultivate her episode, y'all. But
I'm just
it's
saying.
true. She being real. I'm gonna take a sip to that. I'm sorry.
Yes, girl. Cheers.
We're gonna take a sip to that because it's true. Mm-mm. Wow. She just blew my mind. But it's very true. A lot of times people aren't open to it. They're not open to the growth. And in the process of learning yourself, there has to be room for growth. And we don't have that room for growth. But I want to track back to understanding our emotional identity. And I have the definition of emotional identity here. And it says that it is the definition of is the characteristic or way in which our desires and fears manifest themselves and our personalities respond to the behavior, negative and positive, of others, which is pretty much straightforward, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm real funny. Like my mom always tell me to always have what you need. You know what I mean? Just have it. Don't ever ask nobody for nothing. And because she always told me that, because she's like, people will always treat you a certain type of way. So because I'm always in this place of like, I don't want nothing from nobody. When it's time for me to do what I need to do, I'm gonna just need to have it. You know what I mean? Have what you need. If I want to throw a party, make sure I have everything for that party because I'm not gonna wait for other people to give me what I need for this party. Because then I have to ask, oh, can you please like lend me your tablecloths or can you please, I hate situations like that. So now I'm in this place where I'm
Right.
like, I never ask people. I hate asking. My pride, girl. I hate asking for stuff. So
Trust me,
after
I get it.
that phase, I'm like, I need to relax. If I need help, I need to ask for help. Sometimes we pick up behaviors and it's like, we don't ask for help for simple things. Like, hey, can you give me a ride real quick? My car broke down. Like, know,
It's a pride thing, though. It's a pride thing. Closed mouths don't get fed. Sometimes you have to get comfortable within yourself for you to know it's okay to ask for help. Because not everybody can do everything by themselves. Sometimes you just need some help and some assistance. It's
that is
okay.
so true. So true. So I'm talking about the emotional aspect of identity because I think it's a huge aspect to
Mhm.
identity crisis. I do believe that our emotional identity shapes who we are. It
Mhm.
alters everything. I mean, from my experience of struggling to be affectionate with family members or even with my partner in our relationship, it shapes who I am. I know, Jen, you and I have been friends for so long, but I remember a lot of times you used to tell me like, you don't have to have your guard up with me. Like it's okay to just love on each other, And it was
Yeah.
hard for me to understand that because I didn't see that aspect of love, right?
Mhm.
But I think we have to girl, I was just thinking, right? I think we need to get to a point where we realize it's our choice to shape our identity. It's our choice to say, this is who I am. Not our
Mhm.
parents, not our brother, cousin, this is who I am.
Yes. And as you do that, you need to figure out what your non-negotiables are. With yourself and with other people.
But
Figure out what you're passionate about. Figure out who you are. Understand what makes you happy. What fuels you. What drains your energy. You got to pay attention to these things.
my girl said you need to figure out what your non-negotiables are.
Yeah.
Girl, I didn't even think about that. You got me messed up right now. Mm-mm. You got me
It's
excited.
true.
Like I want to dance. Non-negotiables. So what are some of your non-negotiables? Because I didn't even think about that. Like that didn't even come to my mind. Oh my
That
god!
was my non-negotiable. Honestly, I told you before, I'm building relationships with intention. I don't need any popcorn relationships, friendships or whatever. I need people that are gonna be consistent, that's gonna be honest,
Right,
that's gonna be genuine. We need to have we just need to be aligned. I don't do like the fake friends, the frenemies, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to step out, do things that I'm not comfortable, be outside of myself just to be able to satisfy other people. I want to do things that I like and just be comfortable. You know what I mean? Like
right.
my non-negotiables is just doing anything that's outside of me. If it doesn't speak
Mm,
true or if it's not conducive to my growth, I can't do it. And a lot of people are not understanding of that because, they're just comfortable being in whatever situation that they're in. And I can't just put myself or put my energy at risk just to satisfy somebody else.
that's so true. I agree. I agree. I would say mm, when I think about non-negotiables, when it comes to my identity, it's kind of hard to think about it because that is a self thing. So I a lot of it has to do with me confronting myself and saying, "Hey, this is what you are doing and you need to fix it." Because a lot of us are in denial when we go through situations, when we experience different things, when we see ourselves affecting ourselves, right? We don't actually take the process or take the time to confront ourselves and
You
say,
got to take accountability.
right. Well, how many of us, like for real, until I'm gonna be real with y'all, until the shit just gets like shit and is down and shit, is when we're actually like, dang, but you did do this though. Girl, but
Hmm.
look at yourself. You did do that. And that's why you're in the situation. And it'll take a
Right.
couple of falls for us to get there to actually confront ourselves.
Because not everybody's ready to take accountability, telling ourselves that we're wrong or being told that we're wrong. Not everybody's okay with that because I don't know, it's a pride thing. But it's okay to be like, okay, I messed up. It's a learning curve. Now what else? You know what I mean? It's fine.
Yeah. I completely understand. And the thing is that I love the fact that I broke down this emotional identity because as I was writing my outline to the podcast, I was just like, wow, like I really, really, before I even wrote this, before I even decided the topic, I was going through a process of self discovery. I felt like I needed to. And like for me, the process went into me actually shutting down everything, kind of like turning everything off and really just trying to like see things for what it was to make sure I didn't have any distractions and kind
Mhm.
of have like a clear understanding of what was going on. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
In my life, around me, my surroundings, the people that I'm around, all those things. So in the process of me doing that, I that's how I realized that there were things from my childhood that was affecting my present and my future.
Mhm.
And I was just like, why is this affecting me when everyone else in that time and era have moved on and they're doing what they're doing? And this is still affecting me. Why can't I
Mhm.
let go of it?
Because you
Just
haven't
like,
healed from it. You know, that's what happens when you don't heal from a situation, or when you don't acknowledge certain situation. It just
mhm,
festers and it just builds up and it turns into anger or frustration or, what have you. But I've been there, girl. I know exactly what that looks like. I know what it feels like. And then when you have all of that built up inside of you, you're more triggered
mhm.
than usual, but you're not understanding of why you're triggered. This is how a lot of people, end up self-sabotaging themselves because they're not really taking the time to heal or understand themselves to really see what these behaviors that are not healthy are. Like you just have to really understand yourself to know that there's a greater power and that there's better things to look forward to, but you just have to grow with it. You can't be reluctant to change.
That's so true. That's so true. We have to be open to change. We have to be open to being uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Going through this process sucks for me. I'm still going through it right now and I don't like it. And it's so funny because Jen talked about being accountable and I wonder if too much accountability is not good for you. Because I find myself condemning myself all the time. Like just too strong with it. I'm like, God,
It's
like
not
relax.
what you
Like,
say, it's how you say it.
right.
Don't It's not to bash yourself. Like I can give myself an example. I can give you an example. Like, a few weeks ago my car had gotten broken into. Now, I can't say broken into because I could have left the door unlocked. You understand? Because the way,
Mhm.
I could have been distracted. I had my godson. So instead of me being so hard on myself and be like, oh, you're dumb, you're this and you're that, I just had to take the chin up. They did steal a few things from my car and I just had to keep it pushing. I made a report because, that's dangerous. And in
Right.
any case, you got to, go the right way about handling things. But as far as, the things that were taken, I just had to take the loss because I possibly left my door unlocked knowing that, I had a lot of things going on and a baby on my hands. So, you know, you just have to really be gentle with yourself. The same, it's funny because I seen this episode of Ayanna Van Zant, Save My Life
Jen
or Fix
love her
My
some
Life.
Diamond Boy.
I do, because that really helped me heal a lot, to be honest with you. And I remember
Wow.
her discussing with this woman. She said you have to deal with her the same way you would handle a young, fragile child, because ultimately we do have that baggage that we're holding on to, like you discussed earlier.
Yeah,
The family traumas and the things that we held on to. All of those things just fester inside us in the form of a young child. And you have to nurture yourself the same way you would nurture a young child when you're going through these healing processes, no matter how big or no matter how small the process is. Whether you stub your toe or, you lose a loved one, you still have to be gentle with yourself. Still be
that's
hard on
very
yourself the same way, but, you still have to find a way to be compassionate with yourself. You can't just be so stern on yourself because the world is hard enough on us as it is, you know?
So I like that, Jen. We have to learn how to be compassionate about ourselves. And that's part of finding our identity and manifesting it. It's it's having compassion in the things of pulling, because what we're doing is it's like digging into a pile. You're finding things that you don't like, you're finding things that hurt you, you're finding things that you want to keep. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm digging through. Ah, I want to let go of that. Toss it. Oh, I like this about myself. Let's keep that because that's positive, right? That's been eating me up. I'm done with that. So in the process of that, because that's where I am. That's where I am really. And I'm confronting myself with everything. Like, and I'm telling you, girl, I really struggle. So I'm glad that you're talking about compassion because that's something that I struggle with for myself. I'm so hard on myself when it comes to delivery, with anything that I do. Anything I do, I'm like, well, this didn't happen this way because you didn't do A, B, and C. You know why this didn't happen? Well, okay, speaking of. So yesterday I had my shoot, my brand shoot, and I was upset. I was very upset because I didn't see it playing out the way that I expected. And part of it was that I was 30 minutes late to the shoot. It's late to the shoot. And I don't know if that would have changed the outcome of things, but here I am reflecting a million times over and over again, like, the shoot didn't go well. Well, from my perspective, the shoot didn't go well. I didn't get the pictures yet or see anything, but from my perspective, the way the energy was in the room, the way that the girls were taking the pictures, like just the way things were just playing out and occurring in that moment, I was just like, I was so sad after because I had these high expectations, girl. And I'm like, I think it's because you were 30 minutes late. And I'm so mad at myself. I'm mad. I mean, like on the drive there, I'm mad. And it wasn't even my fault why we were 30 minutes late, but I'm still mad about it, Because I'm like, girl, you got up at 6 a.m. The shoot was at 2 and you're late. Like, it's not my fault why we are late, but I'm like, maybe if you did something different. Here I am, like, well, if you did this and you did that and you did that. Anyways, I'm not gonna go on and on because as y'all could tell, I'm still heated about it. Right?
No, you
But
have the right to be upset though. I understand, but you have to also be gentle on yourself, like I mentioned, because when you go into the situation with that attitude, you're already setting yourself up for failure because you're
yeah,
already in your mind just telling yourself all kinds of negativity. Trust me, I know what it feels like. I I self sabotaged a whole relationship because I had so much festering, all the negativity, the things that I kept telling myself. It was just it's all mental. You really got to learn to find a proper way to communicate with yourself so that way you're motivating yourself as opposed to beating yourself down. You got to highlight all of the things that you do instead of highlight all the things that you did wrong or could have did. Celebrate yourself a little bit more. I mean, take note of all the things that could have gone better so
right.
that you can grow, but take it as a growing process. But you still have to enjoy the moment. Like we miss out so much on the moments that we're in because of things that we're worried about that happened already or didn't happen yet or we want to happen. Like we need to take in the moment, stop, and just let our mind be at ease so that way we can really and appreciate what we have at that time. So that's mental health is a big thing, and it just starts with all how we talk to ourselves, how we respond to ourselves, what we think about ourselves.
Jen, on point. Yes, girl. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very important. And I think that honestly, in the process of me condemning myself so much, I like to say condemn, but in the process of me being so hard on myself and holding myself accountable all the time, I didn't realize how to just it started to it mentally affects me. It makes it hard for me. Like today was a hard day because of yesterday. And yesterday I was in a bad mood, right back to today, And it did mess with me mentally and it goes into really just learning how to see the brighter side of things. So and that's what I was trying to do. Like you said, try to see your accomplishments and the things that happened in that moment, the good things. And that's what I did. But I really needed to realize that, hey girl, it's okay. It's okay. We're working on ourselves. Identity doesn't just self discovery doesn't just happen overnight, right?
Right.
It's always going to be a process. Always, right?
And things are not always going to go up to, it's not always going to reach our expectations, but we still have to be willing to accept what we have.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And I think that it's hard because, and this is going to be another podcast because I really, it was on my mind heavy. And that is that you have the right to have expectations.
You
You have the
absolutely
right to have
do.
expectations no matter what. I think that sometimes I'm like, "Oh, you shouldn't have expectations. Just give yourself the lowest level of expectation. Like to me, like I people always ask me like if I have an event or something and they're like, "Are you excited?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not excited." Because if I get excited, I'm having expectations. And then when it doesn't go the way I want it to go, I'm sad about it.
Yeah.
And then I started saying to myself, well, maybe you shouldn't have expectations. And then I really reverted. I was like, no, girl, you have the right to have expectations. What kind of
Mhm.
person walks every day without having expectations of their life or expectations of their friends, expectation
Right.
of their loved ones? You need to have expectations. Because if you don't
We
have
need to have
expectations,
realistic expectations.
right. I agree. Realistic expectations is important because you can't have these outlandish expectations and think like, okay, they're gonna be met. Like, oh, someone's gonna give me $1 million tomorrow. You know,
Right.
I just think it's crazy. But I just wanted to definitely say that Jennifer said something very significant and that's being gentle on yourself. Let's be gentle on ourselves when it comes to finding our identity and holding ourselves accountable. Be gentle to yourself. Understand that you are still human and we still make mistakes in the process of that. And it's okay too, because what we're doing is working on ourselves. It's a daily process of working on yourself. So moving on from that, because we're all about ourselves, okay? I wanted to talk about self-love in the process of letting go and manifesting your identity. And how do you start with loving yourself? How do you do it? And the first step is accepting. For me, the first step was accepting all my flaws.
Mm.
All of my
They got it.
flaws. Since I'm so hard on myself, accept all the flaws. Yeah, you mean as hell. Yeah, you are
Yes.
uptight as hell. Not saying that's what I am, but like I'm just saying,
You gotta,
like
yeah, you gotta call it out. Call a thing a
yeah,
thing.
right. Say it out loud, whatever it is. Say it out loud because it's you do not have to be a certain way for the rest of your life. There are people out there who are bitter. They're bitter because it was their choice. Okay. Whatever happened to them that created that bitterness, it is your choice to continue to live in that bitterness. It's
Hmm.
okay to let it go and move on. I just it's okay. It's okay to not let that fester and sit on your shoulders, because that's what it does. It is a burden that hinders over you constantly, right? And practicing self-love means it's like taking that breath. When you end up in a place where you just like you ever get in your bed, and I think that's what I think about letting go as. When you're tired as hell, you're just tired and you take a nice shower. You got the water hitting your skin, a nice warm water to steam in the shower. You just ready to relax. You just over there slithering the soap all over your body. Okay. Now, I mean, the way I'm describing it just feel good right now, right? That
Girl.
warm water, and then you just drop your head and the water just falling on the back of your neck. You just like, oh, okay. When I hit this bed, it's gonna be right, right? And then you get into the bed and you shimmy in that shoulder, you roll over, you get in that spine, you just like, you just let go the whole day. You just let it go. You let
Hmm.
go of the whole day. You just, ah, that sweet spot. Mm, like I just deserve this bed right now. I just let it all go. You know, your body is relaxed. What happened to you that day is gone. I think that's what letting go should feel like. Just a
Hmm.
release.
Yeah, I
Just
agree indeed. Some people don't know what to let go of. You have to figure out what's not conducive for you, what's not
yeah.
helping you grow, what's draining your energy as opposed to really, providing any kind of satisfaction for you. You really do need to release all of that because once you do, like you said, it does feel like that. It really does. Because once you start moving freer and you're in a different place, you'll feel much lighter. That's
Yeah.
how I feel, girl. Let go all of that baggage.
S I'm telling you, you feel lighter, like a feather. So
Hmm.
we need to definitely make sure we're doing more self-love and loving on ourselves and treating ourselves like we deserve it. That's the
Hmm.
part of I really believe that this is a huge aspect of identity, of finding yourself, of manifesting that identity is loving on yourselves and
Yeah.
letting go of any of the flaws and all of that. Just loving on yourself no matter what. Do not just, I can't look at myself in the mirror and say, I don't like this person. You know,
Hmm.
I have to love the good, the bad, and the ugly. Gotta
That's the
love
realest
me,
love you're gonna get.
right?
Nobody can love you like you. You have to, I feel like that's how you really learn love. You have to learn to love yourself first. How can you learn to love anybody else if you don't know how to love yourself? Or how can you accept love from anybody else? You'll accept anything if you don't love yourself properly.
Real facts. I was just thinking, how could you possibly even exist if you don't even love yourself? You
People
know,
do. They just exist and like you said, they're not living. They're just
no. So you're
there.
just like a you're a walking zombie. You're not even
Yeah.
alive because you don't even love you. You know,
Mhm.
you're just here. You're just here.
Yeah.
And I do believe when you're like that, you don't put off anything positive into where you are. No positive energy, nothing, because energy comes back. You know, you walk into a room. If you're that person who do not love yourself, when you love yourself, when you walk into a room, people catch the vibe. People catch the vibe.
Yeah.
They'll feel
Yeah.
that energy. Like, and you don't need that energy following you all around the world. That's how I
Mhm.
feel. No matter where you go. You know,
Ultimately, I feel it's a self-esteem thing for sure. It takes time to develop and get to the point where you have that love that you need for yourself. But it takes growing and learning and making mistakes and learning what not loving yourself looks like for you to know what loving yourself does look like. Everybody goes through life differently. We all have different turns that we take. We all have different paths that we go down. But ultimately, we can all share in the same experience and trying to find the love and satisfaction that we all deserve.
very true. That is very true. So the next thing to manifesting, letting go and manifesting your identity is communication. Communicating. And that means communicating with others about maybe past hurt. And communicating doesn't mean that you're going to get healed now from that person because sometimes when you communicate to a person about the way they made you feel or something that they've done to you, they might not give you the response that you're looking for. But to be able to talk about it, you might not necessarily get the closure that you want, but to be able to say, I said what I said, and I
Exactly.
was able to just let it all out. There's
Self
nothing that was really
gratification.
hurt me, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. That I can just say, okay, I'm past this. This no longer will hold on to me. This no longer will hurt me from the inside. It will no longer take up space in my mind. I'm just
Hmm.
past it, you know?
Well,
So you
girl,
have
that's forgiveness. That's forgiveness. You forgive for yourself and not for anybody else. Once you're able to let go,
to.
it's the relief in just being able to say, okay, I'm able to get past this because I can finally speak it and own my truth and be okay with it.
Can I get real personal with y'all for a second? Like, I love my mom to death. And I've tried, there are things that from my childhood that has happened between us where I tried sitting down talking to her, like I would say more than 10 times. And I was just open to just doing it over and over again. And every time I'm like, this woman is not hearing you. She's not listening. She does not care. She's like, why are you still caught up on this past when I moved on? Let go. Right. And I was just like, frustration, like so frustrated because I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. But then I got to a point where I've gotten to an age where I understand who my mother is as a person. I understand myself as a person. And I understand that the past has just things orchestrated itself the way it has. And now I've gotten to a place where I can say, you know what, mom, I love you for the person you are. I forgive you for the way you treated me as a child, and I'm not mad at you for it anymore. I'm not. So I can sit here and have the conversation about the hurt that you've done to me, the hurt that you've done, the hurt that you've given me, the pain that I felt, the insecurities that have built up from from things that you've said to me or from how you treated me. And I'm able to say, hey, I can let that go by having that conversation with her. Now, of course, she didn't say, oh my God, Christina, I'm sorry for you feeling that way. I'm so sorry for treating you like that. It was more of, oh, you still on that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, excuse me, you know? So I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I said what I said. Thank you very much, mom. And now I'm free. I'm no longer shackled or chained down by this hurt. I'm free, you know? So even when she says some things now, and a lot of times I'm in this place where I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much like her. And I don't want to be so much like her because this person that she is, was not that great to me as a mother. Like, and when I want to be clear, because I want to be clear, because I don't want to say the wrong thing, right? Now, my mom is a great provider, right? I never needed for anything. But when it came to us at affection and love and compassion, she didn't have that, right? And a lot of it dealt with her tearing me down instead of building me up. And I think I don't know if that's a West Indian parent thing. I can't say it is, but I know a lot of us who have West Indian parents experience that. Jen, I don't know if you experienced that per se, but
Yes,
I have.
girl.
And I don't know, have you been, because I know like we go back, but have you been in a place where you needed to um express yourself to that person to just let go, although you're not gonna get the response that you wanted?
Um, I feel like I used to be like that. Now I'm just in a point where I'm not convincing anybody of anything anymore. Like I said what I said, and that's just what it is.
Right.
Um, but I can totally relate to what you said regarding your mom and that the conversation that needed to be had. I think it's important because, even though they might not be in that place of healing or, you know, accountability, um, just for you to be able to get that off your chest and be able to say what you needed to say is important. But, we can't always expect the same response in return to be reciprocated because just because you're in that place of self healing and you're
Yeah.
able to discuss it and move on doesn't mean that everybody else is in that space. And that's where I kind of got frustrated because constantly being the one trying to be, the fixer, trying to make everything right. And, some things are not going to be fixed on your terms. People have to figure out their own things on their own time. So, you
That's
just
true.
got to continue to grow and move how you're going to move. And believe me, people are going to see your growth and they're going to want to know where the growth comes from and try to see, how you got to that point. And when they're ready to sit down and have that discussion and really be able to heal and move on, they'll know when to come to you. But until then, you just got to keep pushing forward the way you're doing because clearly what you're doing is working for your development. And that's all that really matters at this point because you can't roam through the world just existing. Like we have to live and be free and enjoy our life every single day because we can't take it for granted.
Woo, woo. Live, be free, and live your life
Yeah.
every day because you cannot take life for granted. I think that was
No.
perfectly said. And I love that. Jen, I was trying to pull something out of you a little bit with that. I wanted you to get a little personal when it came to talking about the communication part and trying to express yourself. Like, is there a friendship um, where you needed to? I'm trying to get some realness out of you here. You're giving me the face value of it.
I mean, at this point, is there a person? I'm trying to think of a particular situation because these conversations don't always end the way we want it to end. So
Right.
sometimes you just have to throw our hands in the air. I can give an example. Um, I thought, okay, so I have an example, but like I said, it didn't end well. I did have tried to have a conversation. This was about a year ago. Um, I had my older sister and I. We have like love hate relationship. Like we're on, we're really close, and when we're off, it's just like, you know, cats and dogs. But when we were doing really good within our relationship, I would try to talk to her and just to kind of give her advice from a different kind of perspective because certain things that were transpiring, I felt, could have been avoided, let's just say.
Right.
And, as I tried to just speak my truth and not necessarily try to judge. I try not to judge in these kind of situations because everybody has, different ways of reacting and responding to situations. But when I try to just express where I come from and my experiences, for example, um, I was going through the beginning stages of my self discovery and trying to figure out who I am. This was a year ago. And I went to go see a friend of mine who you actually know, Maria. She did the Women Empowerment Brunch.
Right.
So I went to her house and we just hung out. We were just talking. We were talking about business. I was looking at her website and she was telling me that she does tarot card readings, right? So I've always been a little interested in tarot cards and how it works. So I asked her and I said, okay, so, do a reading on me just to see what comes up. And when she did a reading, she just brought up different things that really did hit home. When I tell you these cards were on point, it hit every dimension of me that I needed to grow past. And one of them being just self development, loving myself, taking, appreciating myself, coming into my womanhood. Another one was breaking a cycle. She said that there was a pattern or a cycle that I found myself in that if I followed and trusted my instinct, that I would come out of it and break the cycle. And there was a few more, but I don't really remember all of them. So anyway, I digress back to the story. So as I had this conversation with my oldest sister, we were sitting in her car one day and we were just talking about it, and I'm telling her from my experiences because we live like two totally polar opposite lives. So I'm telling her things about what happened in my tarot reading and I'm so excited because I'm just, I'm like, okay, this is a new journey. I'm going to go. But as I explained it to her, I kind of felt like I was being judged, so instead of it being like, oh, this is great, they kind of was like, oh, so if that's the case, then why did you do this and why don't you do that? And I kind of felt like I was being judged more than anything. But I'm just like, well, nobody's perfect, I'm still growing just like you're growing. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like just sharing the moment with her would have just been her chance to be able to like motivate and enlighten me a little bit more, just to encourage me to just fall more into it. But instead, I kind of felt she basically was just being petty at that moment because at the time, myself and my mom didn't really have a great relationship. And she just threw it in my face just to be spiteful, and I just felt that was ultimately disrespectful. But just to see where the conversation took the turn, I just said, you know what, this whole situation is just not conducive for my energy. So I'm just gonna remove myself and just keep it to myself because clearly something that I had said in that conversation had triggered a whole different conversation that I didn't want to be a part of. So in those kind of situations, you just need to see what's good for you and what's not. Not everybody's really to see the growth and really try to follow the path that you're on. Some people are there. You got to protect the energy because some people will block your blessings. Truly,
Oh,
you know.
protect your energy. Mhm.
Yeah, it's very important. But I try to stay. That's why most of my time I try to stay and really I'm a loner, all in all. Like that's just how I am. But as of lately, I'm more protective of my energy because when I get attached to people, when I care about people, when I love someone, I tend to go all out above and beyond. You know what I mean? And it's hard to find that kind of relationship that's reciprocated because, you know, people are not like me. I can't expect people to do what I'm capable or able to do for everybody else. So until it comes to me where it's mutual, whether it's family, friends, or a relationship, like if you're ready to receive me and you're open and will and able to understand or try to gain some kind of understanding of me, then we can sit and have a conversation. But until then, I just try to keep my, opinions and thoughts, to myself because not everybody is
Yep.
at the stage where I'm at to be able to have that conversation.
Mhm. And I think
Oh,
that's where we go back to this in the emotional aspect of emotional identity. It's where you were talking to her and she just made you actually want to go back into your shell. And that's what created
yeah,
this environment where you're like, hey, I don't want to accept anyone into my space. I'm more of a loner, and now I really don't trust anyone. I need to reserve my energy and make sure my energy stays clean and positive because you know, because of how people
exactly.
respond to me. It's nothing like feeling like an outsider, like you don't fit. And I hate that feeling. I hate the feeling of not feeling like I don't fit in or when people look at me like I'm you ever seen the Timmy Turner episode of the Fairly Odd Parents, and he wished that everyone could be the same and no one
Mm,
could stand out because kids are making fun of him. And then when he made everyone the same, right? Everyone looked like gray blobs. And when everyone looked like gray blobs, he ended up they now the blobs are like, well, I'm the cleaner blob and I'm the blob with the best blob and I'm the grayest blob of them all and you're not your blob is not like my blob. And I was just like, wow, like that is so significant that even if we all look the same and all act the same, someone will still find a way to stand out and make you seem like an outsider and make you feel uncomfortable about yourself and who you are. And it's so significant, girl. It's so
mm,
significant. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I find myself actually in a place where like if I am super like I get so uncomfortable when I feel like the outsider. I'm quick to leave a space if I don't fit in and I'm like and that's why when I go somewhere, I tend to be a little more quiet because I'm like, not everyone can handle my personality. So and that's the insecurities for me. Talk, or I'm like, let me fall back from talking because y'all about to come in here and start acting crazy. And then I say something, everybody's just quiet. Like I don't know. That's what throws me off. So I get where you were expressing yourself to your sister, and she's like, "Well, you do this, and you act like this, and you that, and you that," and that's more of her being a high nose towards you, right? Like
mhm.
she pointing her nose up high and looking down at you, like, well, you did that yourself. Well, you know, I don't like that.
Exactly.
I completely get where you're coming from. And I, girl, this conversation is just taking me off to another place of things that I would love to get into because it's gotten to a point where I realize that not everyone's gonna understand who you are and who you're destined to be, you know? And
Mhm.
I do not have to conform or confine or change anything about myself to please people. As
Speak
long
on
as
it, girl.
yourself based on the right or wrong, because we know what right and wrong is, right? And you have
Exactly.
a code of conduct to interact and engage with people because we need people. We need people to live. We need people to survive. It's proven, psychologically proven that we need to surround ourselves with other individuals. But as long as I live to a code of conduct, I'm okay with me being me. And it's crazy. As I've gotten older, I always say, and I always tell you this too. I said, I'm the same bitch. And I'm sorry, excuse my language, but I'm the same bitch Monday through Sunday. I ain't gonna change for nobody. Catch me on Monday, I'm the same person. Catch me on Tuesday, I'm the
Mhm.
same. I'm not changing
Yep.
for nobody.
That's
Period.
how
God.
it should be. Trust me. I get it. That's exactly how it should be.
Yep. I'm happy about who I am. I'm excited about who I am. I am prideful about who I am. I'm prideful about my identity, flaws and all. Even without the good, I'd be like, dang, yeah, I did respond this way. I am this type of way. But you know what? I'm still happy about who I am. And I'm okay
Mhm.
with working on it. So I'll go right as I'm talking about this, I'm going right into the fact of trusting. Trust who you are. Trust your identity. Trust, because that's how you're going to manifest. Trust the person that you are. Trust the person that you're growing to be. And you will manifest that identity. You will walk in your purpose fully. You got to know who
Yes,
you
girl.
are.
Yes.
These seven figures.
Yes, girl. Speak on it. It's so
Yeah,
true.
you gotta trust yourself. You gotta trust you. Don't worry about nobody else. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. I trust that Christina can be a better person. I trust that Christina can walk in this life, this thing called life, and be better and do better. I trust that people will still accept me. I trust that I can walk into a room and I am who I need to be. You know, I don't need to change. You ever, oh girl, I know we have friends like that. You ever got those friends who walk into a room and there's somebody else instantly?
Hmm. Yes, I don't like that. I say this to everybody. Like, I don't try to impress not one soul. I don't care if it's my boss to my mama. Like, I'm just gonna be me, and you're gonna be impressed by that in itself because you know what I mean. Like, who has the time to alter themselves every time they get into a, you know, there's a level of code switching. So when I come to work, I'm not the same girl that I am when I'm out with my friends. But as far as just your being and your character and your personality, and it's important for you to be so grounded with yourself that you can be yourself around anybody and everybody. But not everybody is at that level of centeredness, so you can't really
Right.
expect people to really know how to handle that. But once you get that point, there's no
Mhm.
going back.
That's
There's
so true.
no going back.
There's no going back. So we're about to have this is our whoa moment. So I want to go into what our whoa moment is, and that's the aha. Okay, that was my aha moment, my takeaway from all of this. And I had a few questions that I laid out for myself after going through this, and it was, how can you thrive when discovering yourself? And are there barriers when discovering yourself? And I list some examples of some barriers, and that is the lack of self-love, unbalance in life, um unbalance means like the overconsumption of like responsibilities, or the overconsumption of like social media, or the overconsumption of expectations of yourself and people, that can hold a lot. Like if maybe your parents expect you to be a certain way and that's not who you are, for instance, or and that falls big, being like something that people expect you to be. That can definitely be a barrier, because here you are, living a split life and being one way because people expect you to be this way when you are actually another way, and that's the person who you are, right? And this falls into things like when we talk about like the LGBTQT world, and a lot of times there are many people who are fighting who they are because people don't see them that way, and that's not who they are. But I didn't ask you to see me the way you chose to see me, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. Right.
So I'm trying to see myself the way that I see myself, and I need you to see me that way. I need you to understand me that way, right?
Mhm.
And
Consider
that's
better myself.
right. The same thing with, I always say, like, I don't have kids, but people who raise their children and have children, do not tell your kid, oh, you're gonna be this way. Like, I'm not tomorrow gonna say, oh, because I was a swimmer, my son's gonna be a swimmer. I say son because I think I'm gonna have a son, but whatever. I don't think my son is gonna be a swimmer too. So my son's gonna be a swimmer, and my son is going to be a doctor because there's doctors in my family. Like, I'm not going to set this expectation of him and these responsibilities that will leave an unbalance in his life, right?
Mhm.
So I think that in the end of it, when I have my aha whoa moments, right? I say to myself that I have to eliminate these barriers. So I'm eliminating unbalances in my life. I'm eliminating the lack of love, self-love in my life. I have to start loving on me, and I have to start balancing myself. What is
Mm.
your moment, Jen?
Oh, girl, my woe moment. I think you were saying earlier about in reference to the children. I think it's important not to project onto people, whether it be children or
Mhm.
relationships. I think it's important to take accountability in any situation, no matter how old you are or how young or what this case may be. I think that's important. And I also feel like self love is always the goal that needs to be the foundation because if, once you learn what self love is, you'll know what it is to love. And once you know what love is, you'll be able to show it to everyone else. So
Yep.
love is everything. You got to really, take heed in that.
Girl, I'm just happy that we realized that in the process of trying to find an identity and letting go and manifesting identity, that I realized that self love is important. It's the number one thing on our list. And part of self love is having time for you. Sometimes you got to shut everything down and do what you enjoy. A mental break is everything. Just shut everything off, everything, everyone, and everything, and just be able to gather your thoughts. Take the process to sit down and gather your thoughts. And for me personally, what I do is I get my journal and I just start jotting random things down. It might not even make sense, but because my brain is rambling and going on, I just start to jot down and I write down and I write down and I keep writing until I pour it all out, and then I say, okay, I'm good now. Because I think that sometimes we seek people to validate our feelings and to
Hmm.
say, why do I feel this way? Is it because of they're not our therapists. If you need to have a conversation like that, you talk to a therapist who's going to be mutual and clearly help you understand your feelings compared to you talking to like your sister or your cousin and they say, well, you feel, oh, I would never feel this way. It's because you did A, B, and C in your life, you know?
Right. Hmm.
Just let go of that and just shut everybody out and find you, okay? And love on you. That's what's important. So we want y'all to always love on yourselves. And yes, our
Yeah.
woe moment was to make sure that we love on ourselves and find balance in our lives. That was our huge woe moment for this episode. So we are so happy that you guys are listening in. And don't forget that we are actually officially recording our episodes. So you can check Cultivate
Yes.
on YouTube, right, Jenny?
Yes. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so we're stepping it up. We're stepping it up out here. So we just want to thank you guys for coming on to the episode. And don't forget, we got our episodes coming every single Tuesday. So every Tuesday, you make sure you get up in the morning, you hit that download, cultivate her episode, and take a listen first. If you haven't, please subscribe to our Women Empowerment page on Facebook and Instagram and every platform that you listen to Cultivate Her on. Okay, check Cultivate Her out. All right. Now, I just thank you guys, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Hey, bye, guys. We're going to take our last sip right here. I got a little swig left.
Oh, yeah, me too.
All right, Cultivate Her sisters. We see you guys next week.